It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Hey folks, how important is it for us to communicate? You know, talk to one another, find out what's going on. And, you know, sometimes you don't know certain things about certain people or certain events. And, you know, when you find out about them, you say, hey, that's a pretty good idea. Oh, or maybe it's not a good idea, but you communicate. Well, in the greater Hazleton area, in fact, for that matter, in northeastern Pennsylvania, there's been a lot of times we do communicate and a lot of times we do not communicate. Today, we're going to have a discussion on a great project. And I want you to listen to this program with an open mind. And when you hear what is happening in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, you'll understand why we're all excited about it, okay? And that's the Hazleton Integration Project. And let's put our prejudice aside for those who have them, and let's just think about this openly and understand. Remember I said, folks, it's a communication. So we're going to learn a little bit about this project and about the Hispanic community in the greater Hazleton area. My guest today is Bob Curry. Bob is no stranger to the show. As you know, Bob is president of the Hazleton Integration Project of the Board of Trustees. And I have the executive director, again, a person who's been very active in the greater Hazleton area with the Hispanic community, working with the people, and that's Eugenio Sosa. I'm sorry, Eugenio. Well, first of all, gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us. This is perfect timing for us.
Yeah.
And this is the third time I've been on the show, and
You're not getting paid, okay?
I'm getting to be a real regular here, but finally, Joe Madden has allowed me to fly solo.
There you go.
He's got enough confidence in me now.
Well, Bob, I said about communication,
Sure.
okay?
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes people, we have misconceptions, all right? And nothing like knowing what facts are. Facts sometimes can be cruel things because they're facts. But let's talk about Bob Curry, all right, and your involvement in this project. How did this thing, first of all, why did you become involved with it? Because I know there's no ulterior motives here. I know you're not getting paid $1 zillion, okay?
Not a nickel.
Oh, right. And so the point is, so what the heck does Bob Curry want to do all this for?
Well, I think it's really important, and there's a great, as you said, you started your show by talking about miscommunication or misconceptions, and the first thing I wanted to clear up is there's an element out there that believe that we're doing something for the Hispanic community, and I could tell you, Sam, nothing is further from the truth. What we are doing is for the entire community of Hazleton, because we understand by assimilating everybody together and bringing everybody together, we triple our own strengths. This is just the latest kind of immigration that has occurred in the United States, and certainly in our area. We talk about that frequently. And the last immigration was the Italians, and I think that one's worked out pretty well, we'd all agree.
It better have.
And now we're looking at the Hispanic immigration, and we believe that just like it's always been in the past, we're going to be a stronger and better society when we knock down those misconceptions, when we really start to understand who we are, and when we start to trust each other. And at that point, that's when Hazleton is really going to take off. And I got to say one other thing. We're not the only ones who feel this way. Hazleton right now is under a microscope, and the kind of media attention that we're getting from outside of the city is just phenomenal. So, you know, there are other people looking at us as well.
Going back to misconceptions, okay, I tell the story many times. You know, the Italians came over here. I was born and raised in Partysville. Very proud to say I was born in a beautiful town, beautiful people. We played with the Slovak and the Polish people. You know, we integrated. We just had a good time. They'd be eating spaghetti at my home one night. I'd be eating pierogies and lupkis, and beautiful people. But what happened, the Italians in the community, they built their own little, you know, they had little stores that sold what they sold, and we saw these all at the little Italian places pop up, such as we're seeing with the Hispanic, you know, in our area. But getting to understand, you know, the people. Sometimes when the Italians come over, they couldn't speak English, okay? Now, we have always a concern. Well, the Italians had to learn English, okay? Getting to you, Eugenio, you said you got here in 2006.
Correct.
Now, first of all, why did you want to come to Greater Hazleton?
Well, thank you, Sam, for having us here. But
My pleasure.
the reason wasn't that I come to this city is because my family. That's the main thought, that anyone who decides to change other city because it's more quiet, have the opportunity that our children can grow up with more opportunity to be more proactive in the community, especially in the city, that you see that you can grow with others who come in from different states, like Connecticut, like New Jersey, and like New York, and we are all Latino. So when you have the opportunity to say, I would like to have my kid to be more involved and share a culture. But my concern also is how other kids can get involved as a first or second generation to absorb this culture. But at the same time, we as a family, we need to teach them what they're supposed to do to become professional, and they have the opportunity to apply it.
Well, Bob alluded to something, and we hear it sometimes in the news that, wow, we have to give them everything. We didn't have that all. The Hispanic people, now we have to cater to them. We have to do this. We have to do that. What about our own kids? We didn't have that with our own kids, et cetera. And again, what the positive things that we see here. I mentioned the word about communication. When you are able to communicate and understand what culture is about, I could care less whether a person's pink, blue, turquoise. It's the person, okay? I may not, sometimes when I disagree with the President of the United States, they say, well, because I don't like black. That's the furthest from the truth. I don't care whether the guy was pink or turquoise. It doesn't make any difference. The thing is that we have to accept people who they are, but you said trust, okay? When you came here, okay, and you see, sometimes the crime, etc., I'm sure, what is your reaction?
Well, my reaction when they're talking about crime, it's a very complex opinion because sometimes you don't know who's doing it. You blame somebody else, but we need to focus about family, how the family has been educated their children to prevent that type of event. Because crime has been always through the history. But sometimes when you blame a specific ethnia, that sometimes is very bad. We need to focus on how we can work together and how we can help. And to help better is through education, how people can be better informed, and also how they can be more proactive. And we will realize who is the one who's doing it. So I don't like to deal with in general. It's families first. Let's see how we can work together.
Excellent point. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in too. I've been on a number of the crime panels, as you know, and even a statewide panel. Now, I never knew I was such an expert until recently, but really, what the Hazleton Integration Project is about is preventing crime. We had all those panels with the FBI convening crime panels, and they said, usually gang activity starts between 10 and 14. That's when they're recruiting our kids. And if we don't provide those opportunities, those options for healthy choices in our community, what's going to happen? Those kids will find a family, and it won't be from within their own family, it'll be outside. But a community can be a family as well. And that's what we're looking at. We're saying we can offer you better choices and a better future. Why don't you participate in these wholesome activities? Why don't you get involved? Why don't you rub elbows with some other kids in our city and see what everybody is about? And that's what we're striving to achieve here, is the integration part.
Bingo. That's exactly right, Bob. That's exactly where it's at. These sometimes children, and we could go back into our past, and we're born into families that have 10, 12, 13 people. They had to work hard, and the family is the most important thing. If you take these kids off the streets and give them something, start developing them, and it's not only for Hispanics, but working together, okay, and having the Hispanics and the, whomever working with these kids, it's a purpose, and you're absolutely 100% correct. That's why I'm such a strong supporter of this project, because it is developing a culture and having these kids go someplace and work someplace. Folks, I'm talking to Bob Curry, who is the president of the Hazleton Integration Project. As you know, Joe Madden has been a strong supporter of this. And no, folks, Joe Madden is not supporting this because he wants to minion the baseball players from the Dominican Republic. That's not why he's supporting it, folks. He's supporting it because his heart and soul is in this project. His heart and soul is into making the community work where he's born and raised, okay? And that's the key here, okay? If you have something different to tell me, please do, because I don't think that's the case. We hear a lot of misconceptions. We come back, what is this project all about? What will it do? And how do you get involved in this project? Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante, 24/7. Folks, remember, ssptv.com, and thank you so much for those people who are watching us in Afghanistan. We have people there who watch our news every day, watch our programming, and they feel like they're back home. And a lot of people who are visiting, who are in Paris, France, I'm trying to think of Sorrento, Italy. These people are on vacation, and they, tuning us in on our website. It's just great. Before I get to my guests, folks, you've been seeing this advertisement on a number of times. It's the Power Frame. Now, what is this Power Frame? It's very simple. I have a picture here, of course, of my family, and it's basically a picture holder, but you can plug in your iPhone, your iPad, your cell phones at night, and just plug it in. You don't have to be looking for wires and et cetera, et cetera. I have 3 of them at home. It's fabulous because at nighttime I just plug in my phone and that's it. The Power Frame, go to their website, powerframe.com, and it's a special price that they have. It's only $19.95. It's a great tool. Also, my good friends at GreatSpringWater.com. GreatSpringWater.com. You can get their 5-gallon water bottles, and they sell the 4 gallons at Walmart. GreatSpringWater.com. Check it out. My guest, Bob Curry, who is president of the Hazleton Integration Project, of the board, and Eugenio Sosa, who is the executive director. Okay, we talked about getting the children. This is not an Hispanic thing. It's open up to the entire community.
Exactly
All right,
right.
so what will you be doing there?
Well, we're going to do some of the things that some of these children may not have the economic wherewithal to participate in some of the other things that the community has to offer. So we have focused our efforts specifically on kids who might be economically disadvantaged, who may not have the money to join memberships in other places. So what we're trying to do is keep all our costs at an absolute minimum. And so we're looking to do either low cost or no cost. And what that does is it requires a tremendous amount of volunteers from our area. And so far we've been fortunate, but we still need a lot of volunteers out there. So if you have a specific something that you do really well, or you have some experience in either athletics or any kind of a cultural event or education, or you just want to read to kids, everybody has skills that we can use. You want to volunteer? Please call us, 861-8081. And the kinds of things that we're going to participate, obviously athletic events, but in addition to that, we are looking at cultural events. We're starting, right now, we want to kick off a music program where we're asking people, if you've got any band instruments that are no longer being used in your house, the kids grow up, they collect dust, give us a call. We'll be happy to pick them up for you. We'll repurpose those instruments, get them in the hands of kids who may not be able to afford a band instrument. And then we have music teachers. Eugene can speak to that a little bit because we've got volunteer music teachers or teachers who are willing to teach at a fraction of what they normally charge to help these kids get off to a good start. So that's an example. We're working with the Art League as well, providing art lessons to young kids. So there's art, there's culture, and of course then the staples, which is just the education. We want to teach Spanish classes to English and English classes to Spanish. We want to go in both directions. And by the way, if somebody out there speaks Italian fluently and would like to do an Italian class or a Polish or a Czech, let us know. We'd love all cultures to get involved in this. We want to celebrate our cultures.
Let me follow Bob is saying about language, because sometimes in the third generation, when they lost the culture. Sometimes you say, oh, but you're Italian, but you don't speak Italian. The same thing happens. Oh, you are Latino, but you don't speak Spanish. So we want to have those culture alive, that at least to learn the basic, and that would be great. Even myself, I can learn more Italian.
Well, yeah. Well, and you're so right, Eugenia, because when I was born and raised in Paris, my grandfathers and grandmothers used to speak to me in Italian, but I would speak in English back to them. Big mistake. I should have learned because I missed the language. Eugenio, so in terms of what you see this integrated project, where do you feel the project will be of benefit for the community and understanding that it's for everybody, not specifically for Hispanic people?
That's a good question. What we need to think, as I said before, is about the family. When you have all the children together, learning together, they will bring their parents. So the children doesn't have prejudice. They just do what they like, play, learn, and get fun. So when we have the opportunity to have the family, they're going to be more encouraged to learn, and they want to help their kids. So our main focus is the kids, because when they learn, for instance, what Bob was saying about music, they want to be learning the basic. And most of the time, when they have that opportunity to learn, they will share with other kids. They're going to inspire, and they're going to bring it. That's why it's called the Hazleton Integration Project. We're going to integrate the whole family. Here, we don't have no name, just Hazleton Integration Project. And all the accomplishment that we get is for everyone and everybody.
I'd also like to throw in one more little benefit, and that's economic. It's really interesting, but if you take a look at the way the Hazleton Society runs, it's kind of like two lines, like railroad tracks, just heading out into infinity, but they never intersect. And you think about that. If you have a business, and some of the businesses go to great pains, and they're very successful on bringing the Hispanics and the Anglos together, and we think naturally of Walmart and Lowe's, and they're busier than ever. Boscov's is another one. But even some of the smaller businesses, we can literally double our clientele simply by integrating the society. If you have a restaurant and you're serving Italian food, and you can bring in this enormous influx of Hispanic immigrants, you're going to be more successful. And the same is true as well if you're running a Hispanic restaurant. And there are certainly many of them around. Wouldn't it be nice if we were comfortable going into those restaurants? So as we break down these barriers, there's the social benefits, but there's very clearly an economic benefit that all of us can share.
You talk about a language. I have the universal language. I played the universal language, and that's music. Music is universal. It just affects everyone. And I played trumpet for many years in my band, and we had the universal language. And I love the fact that you're incorporating this stuff. But let's get back to the Hispanic community working with people in this area. Sometimes we feel that the Hispanics have their own thing, and they really don't want to be bothered with the other people. They just want to have their own culture, and don't bother us. We have our own thing going, and we don't need you, and look at who we are.
No, that is a perception. And you have to understand that it's a language barrier. Sometimes it's very hard. If you want to go to a business, you have to go with somebody who knows. For instance, if I go to the Italy, I need to go with Bob. So when they see me the first time, they know that I'm welcome, because they know that Bob is sharing with us and he's not scared. So we need to work together, especially to go to those places that would think that they just want to be by themselves. No, we are more than happy to have more customers. But sometimes it's the language barrier, because you don't know how you're going to order arroz con habichuela. So you need somebody.
You watch your language. Okay. This is a family show.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But the thing is that we're learning at least the basic when you go to a place, for a restaurant, for a store. But the most important is how often you see the person in the same place and the same location. That's why we are very happy about this project, because we're going to have a community center for everyone, so they will have the opportunity to be there. So when they see in another place, maybe in the school, even they're from different school, but they know they belong to one place because they're learning something in common.
It's interesting, because sometimes we're introduced to people, and you have a perception about a person you're going to meet. Okay, some people hate me; they don't even know who I am. Some people love me; then they know who I am. But no, seriously, you get perceptions. Okay, who does he think he is, etc. And you just find out. When I try to be, like my father says, treat people the way you want to be treated. Okay, when you meet some Hispanic people, you have a perception. And this has happened to me many times, because the Hispanic people, blah, blah. And then they meet a couple of them, and they find out, that really they're nice people. Well, yeah, they are nice people. You mentioned something that I pushed for many years on this show, and that's family, working with the family. Because a young kid is growing up, what does that poor child know other than what he's taught? And that's where the environment comes. And that's the most important thing, Bob. That's why I said bingo. It's the development of getting those kids in so they'd understand the language. They should learn the English language, but it's a process like anything else. Let's not be too fast to criticize. Work with them. Yes, we do have some bad elements in all areas. And sometimes we are very fortunate, Bob, thanks to the efforts of your group, what you're doing, as long as it is open for everybody. It's not a political thing. It's not an agenda thing. Okay, that's where people get nervous when they see if you guys are political to a degree. Then it turns people off. be for everybody. I think you've stated, you've been very
We've
strict.
been absolutely neutral. And in fact, that's a really interesting point of view, because what we found, and I think it might surprise a lot of your viewers out there, is our biggest supporters right now come from both sides of the aisle. We have Senator Yudichak, we have Representative Toohill, but we also got a proclamation from Governor Corbett, who is sending one of his representatives to our grand opening, and another person that people might be surprised writes us letters of support, is in constant contact, Congressman Barletta. So we have not only support, but there are other people out there that understand the critical nature of what we're doing. Frank DeAndrea also, 100% in support. But police understand why we have to get those kids engaged and involved at young ages.
My guest, Bob Curry, who is the president of the Hazleton Integration Project, and Eugenio Sosa, who is the executive director, will be back right after this. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante, 24/7 SSPTV.com. My email is sam@ssptv.com. And Hazleton Integration Project phone number to get involved, because they have the grand opening June 15th, okay, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'll give you this information, then the phone number. Then they have the 2 p.m. to 3:30, Concerned Parents of Hazleton, the 5-year anniversary, Sunday, June the 16th. Registration continues from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Games with Dad. That's going to be very interesting. Monday's the big day, the grand opening, where Joe Band comes in at 4 p.m. and 861-8081, and the website is right on there. It's the HazletonIntegrationProject.com. How does this whole thing start, Eugenio?
No, great. I would say thanks to Ignacio Beato and Elaine Curry that they get together. That's when we family start, and how this perception start changing, was a big result. And from there we start concerned parents, because we understood that it's a language barrier, to have a better communication with parents, teacher, and student. So we started to doing this bridge, and that's been very successful. And while we was getting involved, many other family was part of this. So I don't know if you know Anna Marie Shelby, Bob Climo, just mention how we get it, because we have the same result, because we want to have a better city. But now we can mention Nurka de la Rosa, we can mention Pedro Martinez, Maximo, that has been volunteer. But now, if we mention a name, we have a huge list of volunteers that has been working very hard with concerned parents, and now they are coming as a family to the Hazleton Integration Project, because that will be a continuation, and that's why it will be a success.
And if we forget Jose Rodriguez in that list, we're really going to be in trouble.
Yes. Amilcar Arroyo. So it's so many. So we have to.
My buddy, Almacar.
Yeah, it's so many names.
I drive him crazy.
So I believe there are many of them that are involved in this project.
So this thing, how it's evolving, Bob?
And then, of course, we had the real key. Concerned Parents had been in operation for about 3 years. And then when Joe Madden came into town one time, and this is kind of well documented, he felt the city was a little bit edgy, that it was a little bit darker than he remembered. And he sensed the tension or the miscommunication. And Joe and I have both spoken about that several times. But unlike some other people who then get on a plane and leave somewhere, Joe said, "What can I do?" And at that point, I was kind of hesitant, but I was willing to make the leap of faith, so to speak, that if Joe got behind a project, and his wife Jay and his sister Carmine, and then other people in the family, we all got together and said, hey, listen, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. We're going to do it. We're all in on this project. I was about to leave my job at Barnes & Noble after all those years. And I said, okay, I'll commit. Full-time volunteer. I'll do whatever I can to make this work, Joe, as long as you are. And we know what that result was. So that's where we were. We saw the need through concerned parents. We saw that the limitations in space and in funding that they had was never going to make a huge difference. But then we also realized that with Joe's help, we could just kind of rocket ship this whole effort, put it on the front page, and make a real difference in our community. Help the kids and help ourselves.
Well, in helping, the very first news agency in this area was us, who started Hispanic News with Almacar Arroyo. We tried that, and I remember when we first started it, oh man, I got, not a lot of calls with people, but that wasn't the point. The point was to communicate, start communicating. And through the fine people that we have watching this show and all our shows, particularly our local News 13, up to 70,000 people per day now, which is more than sometimes, I'm advertising, of course. But here's the point, I'm using the advantage that we have for people to get the communication. So we're very proud and humbled to say, you know, we have that amount of viewership. This show here, 100,000 people a week that watch it from Tamaqua, all over the place. And it's an opportunity for people to understand what's going on. We may not agree, but I applaud you, Eugenio, and your group. Bob, I don't know why you are excited as you are, but you have been extreme supporter. I just keep on trying to tell you folks, there's no agenda here. There is no agenda. I know sometimes political people feel there's a political agenda. It's a Democrat thing, it's a Republican thing. It is not. I would not be involved with it. I do have my opinions sometimes politically, as you know, but this is dealing with people, young people, kids getting together, education, and working together. We need to work together. Yes, we have some bad element, and we'll get rid of that bad element. Frank DeAndrea and his police department and everybody, the FBI, they're doing a fabulous job. We're going to get rid of the scum that's coming in, ruining this city. They are as upset about it as we are, believe me when I tell you. It's a great organization. Try to make the grand opening on June the 17th. Remember, Saturday, June the 15th, the 16th. A lot of information. Give them a call, 861-8081. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.